All right, we live.
Hey, what's up,
We're
man?
in there. What's up, bro? So
Hey,
today, man, we're coming at people with systems and tools to run your real estate business, man. And I know,
system tools.
yeah. And so I know when I came on, like one of the first conversations we had was about managing your day and the tools that we use to manage the day. So we got daily activity records. Probably most people aren't too familiar with a daily activity record. And then the 30,000 foot view of the ideal weekly schedule.
Yeah, yeah. I know those are things that you have to develop habits with quick, or else you'll get into the downward spiral of letting the day own you versus you owning the day. I don't know if
Sure.
anybody else has ever been there where they just feel like they never can get caught up, and we're all about like being paperless and everything, but like there is one piece of paper that is pretty critical to the day, and it's called the daily activity record here.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, at the end of the month, I'll scan all these and save them, so that way I'm not throwing away notes. And how many people have ever really been there and they're like, oh, I wish I would have saved my notes. I threw those away when I was cleaning out my drawer the other day, and so
Right.
that's always been a good thing to kind of get in the habit of doing. But the daily activity record is something that you can manage your day by 30-minute time blocks, and then put your priorities there for things that you got to complete, your A, B, and C priorities,
Sure.
and then tracking your business. So knowing how many folks you've sent to the lender, how many sellers you've spoken to, how many deals you have pending, how many active listings you have, and knowing all that stuff and knowing your numbers, because those lead measures end up calculating out to the lag measures, which are the results we want to track
Right.
at the end. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure to get to those lag measures.
Like how
So the daily activity
important,
record has been pretty huge.
right? Like how important do you think this is to somebody just starting out in real estate for actually logging what they're doing on the daily?
It's critical. I mean, because you don't have anybody that's hovering over your shoulder.
Right.
There might be somebody that says, "Yeah, come clock into the office, and I want to be around. I want to listen to your conversations." But it's ultimately up to you
Mm-hmm.
when you're new at this stuff to like really hone in the process. So it's probably one of the most important things, along with creating your ideal weekly schedule.
Yeah.
If anybody needs an example of what an ideal weekly schedule is, we can send that to them. But basically, in the absence of having appointments or other hard times in your calendar that you got to do, you have dedicated time on your ideal weekly calendar that says, okay, this is prospecting time, this is office work time, this is follow
Right.
up work time. And so like you're looking at your Google calendar, you're like, yeah, I don't have anything today from 4 to 6. I guess I'll prospect because that's what I'm supposed to be doing on my ideal weekly
Right.
schedule. So instead of, boss man coming through and saying, hey, I need you to do this, because that's never going to happen. You're
No.
like, your boss is your ideal weekly schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's a game changer, man. And I was having some thoughts while you were talking there. So like default setting on your ideal weekly schedule is prospecting. When you're brand new, you don't have office work, you don't have any deals going on, you don't have any repairs to negotiate. So
Yep.
pretty much your entire dang schedule is you're prospecting. And I think that's where a lot of people lose it is they're like, well, I did my prospecting from 9 to 9:30, Travis. I don't know why I'm not closing deals. It's like, well, because your job right now is freaking prospecting. Like you got to fill that pipeline. I
Yep.
think in real estate, realistically, for the average person, it's a 4 month ramp up. Like when you walk through that door, it's a 4 month ramp up. But what people like, Brad on the team has figured out is Brad's like, well, if I double my prospecting, I double the leg measure, right? I double the outcomes.
Yep.
And so it's like you got people like Brad where his weekly goal for calls is I can't remember, it's like 100. It's like over 100. Like dude's a
Yep.
prospecting machine. But then like these last couple of weeks, he's taken his contacts from 30 to over 60
Yep.
because he's tasted victory. He
Yep.
knows that this is the gospel. It's not some numbers we're grasping out of thin air. And I think there's too many people in the industry that don't know their numbers. They
Right.
don't know what a good week of contacts looks like, right? I didn't until I came here and met you. And so they don't know what outcomes can be achieved. But once they start to taste it, And
Yeah.
like Brad, who's had 8+ deals going on now over a month since the weather started to kind of shift a little bit here in Alaska. But I mean, his business is blowing up now. He can taste it, and it's like the confidence is up, right? Like,
no, he's killing it.
he's crushing it.
I remember talking to him about 45, 60 days ago, and he didn't have anything pending. And he was like, I just want to have like 2 pending all the time. I'm like, that's good. Let's just, let's set that as a goal. And you just have 2 transactions pending all throughout the year. I mean, you'll end up doing pretty well. And that's a good goal. And then like, he's just crushing it now. He's got, I think, 8 or 9.
Now he's like 8, 9. I don't even know. He's got a closing right now.
It's just,
I don't even know.
We sat down and we discussed the lead measures, and you can't get to the end of the year and be like, I didn't meet my goals. Oh yeah, I could have done this better. Sure. Everybody can say, yeah, I could have done this better. But what you should be doing is like at the end of the day, I should have done this better, and this is what I'm going to do tomorrow to make up for my lack of prospecting today.
Right.
I was supposed to make 6 contacts, have 6 real estate related conversations today, but I only had 3. So that means tomorrow I'm having 9. Right. It's just a simple equation.
Yeah, you can't cheat the system either. And that's the thing about Brad is like, if you looked at Brad, if you took a snapshot of Brad from like November to like February, you'd be like, this guy's not doing anything. But he was. He was making the calls. He was making the contacts. And that's why now you see this big surge. And now he's got this machine where, like, I was just talking to him in the hallway out here. And he's like, dude, I got so many buyers in the pipeline. Like, he's so confident about his future, but there's a ramp up period there. He did the work all winter, right? It's kind of like the sow and reap. It's a real concept, dude. He was sowing all winter, and now he's going to reap all spring, summer, and fall. And I mean, he's got an unstoppable machine of a business as long as he keeps hitting these lead measures every week. So I think that was probably, I knew this to be true prior to coming here. Yep. But I never really knew like the systems that you had in place, the daily activity record. I think for somebody brand new, just starting out, I think you should probably set an alarm every 2 hours to where that alarm goes off and it's like, holy crap, what am I supposed to be doing right now? It's
for the new person,
Facebook land or Instagram land and go down the rabbit hole and waste your whole day. But like, I even heard a CEO one time talking about how, great people in business assess how their last hour went every hour.
Yep.
The Bill Gateses of the world do that about every 5 minutes. Like, okay, how did I spend the last 5 minutes? How did I spend the last 10 minutes, right? Like, what could I do in the next hour that could change my business? And constantly readdressing that. And when you got the ideal weekly schedule, you have something to keep you true to. Right? Yeah. There's never a time of the day where it's like, oh my God, Travis, I don't know what to do right now. Boom, ideal weekly schedule. Okay, this is office work time. Okay, this is prospecting time. Oh crap, it's lunch. I should probably eat today. That would be great.
Go out to lunch. Get away from it. Yeah.
Right? So these things were kind of like eye-openers to me. I mean, sure, people talk about time management, but, like you say all the time, there's no such thing as time management. Time's linear. It's going to pass regardless. It's personal management. It's managing yourself.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
All that stuff is where it's at. It might sound basic fundamentals, for doing business, but there's so many people that don't do it. It's just they just don't have the good habits in place. And I was gonna say that that is a big piece of the pie right there. The other big piece of the pie is actually tracking your follow-ups and setting to-dos and your CRM, whatever your CRM is. The thing that I used to harp on continuously, and you've heard this, and we've harped on it together, is call these folks within 5 minutes of registration on our website if they're a web lead, right? We want to call them within 5 minutes because the MIT study tells us that a lead called within 5 minutes, you have a 400% chance more of a likelihood of making a contact the first time. So that's a pretty sweet ratio there. I like that percentage. I like those odds, and makes a lot of sense. But I find that we are making a lot of times close contacts, especially with some of the leads that we've been generating lately.
Sure.
It's like almost 50-50. It's been pretty
Right.
great. But the follow-up piece of it has been pretty tough because these people are like needing to speak to the lender. They need credit repair. They're needing a lot of extra, TLC to get them ready and where they need to be. So actually having a system in documenting, like if you send somebody to the lender or send somebody to credit repair or whatever, it's like you need to have a system in place to follow up with them, because they'll get discouraged if they hit a minor roadblock. Somebody that needs like a little bit of credit repair gets so discouraged over the minor things, like, oh, they're asking for a W-2. I'll get that later. I got other things to worry about. Right. Yeah, they need to be motivated. They need to you need to constantly check in with those folks and keep the ball rolling.
Sure, man. And next week I want to talk about lead gen, and we'll talk about a lot more about follow-up and stuff and give some pointers on that. But no, great point, man. It's not just I don't want to get too far off track, but yeah, the follow-up, because we do some Zillow, we do some realtor.com. That's not our main focus, but we do some. And like you can tell, like, if I don't make that first contact, say I'm like busy, whatever, I'm showing houses and I can't call that lead. If I wait 3 or 4 days and call that lead, that first person made initial contact.
Yeah.
They made the first contact, the first realtor, but they didn't close, and they never set an appointment, and or maybe they went and opened the door and they're like, we went and looked at this house and I never heard from so-and-so ever again. Like, can you imagine that? Like, like dropping everything and going and showing somebody a house and then friggin' just like sayonara? Like, unbelievable, dude.
That's not going to happen.
So that's just kind of where systems and processes kind of, we have systems for that. We have pre-qualifying people. And, I think that's probably the biggest part of this that's changed for me is, like, I used to be, I was on a team and it was like the training on qualifying people wasn't the greatest thing in the world over the phone. I mean, we did LP Mama, like, to a point, but the rebuttals and systems and tools that we have in place here for qualifying people, it's unbelievable. It's maximizing your time.
Absolutely. Scripts and dialogues is huge. And then kind of back to the old, keep staying on task. There's the 4 disciplines of execution. If anybody's ever read that book, it talks about when urgency and important collide. So important being the ideal weekly schedule and staying to that and being committed to that. That's important. Urgency is maybe like somebody that's calling you talking about repair negotiations. Okay. So that can probably wait until office work or a follow-up time on the ideal weekly schedule. If you've got on the calendar on a Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. prospecting, if you're negotiating repairs, you're losing, because that's an ideal time to be contacting people. According to the MIT study, it's the most ideal time to be reaching out to people.
Right.
So, there's that whole thing of what typically does win in a normal environment. And I saw it in the military all the time when you had something important and you had something urgent and they both collided. Which one always won? It was the one that was urgent. It was the one that was urgent, which is a bummer. It's a bummer because somebody just messed up on something and they forgot to fuel up a vehicle or whatever.
Right.
The mission was to leave, and we were supposed to leave at a certain time. We were supposed to go out on mission at said time. And now because this urgency thing has come up, now we're focusing our efforts on that rather than important. And it's the same thing in real estate. Like when you've got somebody calling you 3-4 times in a row and you're in the middle of your prospecting, and it's like, you know what? I can get back to it. They can wait an hour. Like, they can wait an hour. I'm going to continue what I'm doing here. I'm going to be committed. I'm going to be disciplined to my schedule and get this, not just get the mission done, but be focused on the results. We were both in the military. We know that the military was very mission directed. Well, as long as it's, going towards the mission, then it's all good. Like, okay, we can sit and BS all day. As long as we're talking about the mission, it's all good. And then, you get into the being a business owner and being an entrepreneur, it's like, okay, if it's not producing results, then why are we doing it? Like, if it's not doing that.
Yeah, dude, we can sit and talk shop all day, but that's not selling houses, right? Like, there's got to be a time for prospecting, man. There's got to be, you know, dollar productive activities. I think people lose themselves in the urgent and miss out on dollar productive activities. It's like, yeah, I could sit here and get wrapped around the axle on repairs all day long. So, like, honestly, it's probably better for your health to disconnect from that crap and go and talk to some new people that are excited, and you're excited. We're gonna buy a house, you know?
Yeah, you get bummed out by like the stress of just doing some of that, and then now it's affected your tone and how you're speaking to people, and it's drained you. And yeah, you got to get your mind right for getting on the phone and getting people excited about buying or selling.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely, man. It's like, thank you, sir. May I have another? It's like, you're not super excited about the next, you know, the next prospect, the next, you know, family you're going to help buy a home. If you're bumming about your repairs, or you're dropping, you know, you're making a couple calls and then answering the phone from another realtor. And, you know, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest game changer for me, is having the set times, having the set schedule. Moving things around, having immovable objects, but then having movable objects too, right? Like the office work, it's great to have a time for it, because I'm like, okay, this is office work. But if someone wants to go look at houses, or somebody wants to write an offer, like, I'm writing that offer. Right? So there's movable, but then you have like our team training, immovable object. You got our Thursday night call night, immovable object. You got Monday morning sales huddle, immovable object. These are things that we're not requesting of our team. It's a demand. It's a command.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a perfect segue into like leveraging technology.
Right.
And they're immovable objects because there's really no excuse for missing them, right? So we're not needing to be in a physical space to take care of a sales meeting. We're not needing to be in a physical space to take care of a training meeting.
Right.
We're not needing to be in a physical space to do call night. We do collaborate on call nights quite a bit in the office, just because it's kind of nice to hear everybody else, you know, getting excited. But there is so much leverage in doing the Zoom calls, doing the Hangouts, meeting in the virtual office, EXP world. There's just so much leverage out there. If you start looking around, there is no reason really, unless it's life, limb, or eyesight, or maybe we might add virus, you know, to miss a meeting. And it's just perfect. I've literally been I've been leading a training session driving down the road, and talking well and septic or whatever. It's just at this day and age, there's really no excuse, really.
There isn't. Like, if you want to be present, you can be present. And that's one thing that I think is amazing, that, you know, we've been operating this way since day one, but it's like now everybody's like, oh my gosh, you know, you can really do this thing. It's like, yeah, I mean, we've been trying to tell you guys. I mean, maybe it takes a virus for people to appreciate being able to work remotely. You know, it's like, we're here in the office right now, but we don't have to be. We could have just as easily done this from home. I'm actually doing this because I wanted to get out of the house. I'm tired of being cooped up from the virus. So I'd like to come to my nice clean office and sit in here. And because I get a little cabin fever and everything. But man, I mean, the ability to do this, like you said, we can do this on a cell phone. We can do our meetings pretty much anywhere. Like, I've had meetings from a friggin' open house before. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you can listen in and get the information. You might not have the camera and all those abilities, but, you know, with technology, it's amazing to me that so many people don't leverage it, and they're living in the land of paper, and they're living in the land of brick and mortar. And it's just an extra strain on your business that you just don't have to have. Like, I get that there's a small learning curve to it, but the rewards on your time and on your money are like, I mean, you just can't even put it into words, the amount of leverage you have when you're using technology.
Yeah, you just get more flexible. You know, you start to get these systems in place to where you get used to meeting virtually. Pretty soon you're like, let's schedule that trip and let's go to Hawaii. Let's, you know, do whatever. Carrie and I have gotten a lot more comfortable with traveling because of the way that we operate, and being able to basically we're there, but we're not there.
Yeah.
And it's just been very rewarding to get to that point. And I just think it's a real testament to being ahead of that curve and, that change curve. And we saw it coming. And I've always been kind of, you are too, but, an efficiency freak.
Yeah.
And what's the fastest way from point A to point B? And if it means just pulling up my phone to have a meeting, then, we'll do it.
No, I'll pay to make something express every time. Like if there was a tollway in Anchorage, I'd be the first person to sign up. Like if I could bypass traffic and just get there, that's kind of the thing that, really the only thing you need to be present for is opening doors. I mean, it's like a majority of this stuff, it's like you don't even need to be present anymore. And that's why I'm so blown away when, when people are like, hey, are you going to print out that offer and sign it? No, I'm not. Absolutely not. Like, no.
I get like flustered when I have to print something. I'm like all this paper.
Dude, it's so inefficient. You're wasting paper and then you're just scanning that same paper right back in just so it can be digital anyway. Because it's like we don't operate in that world.
Nothing against people who do their paper files, right? Like I was joking about that a while back, but there are some people that are just kind of stuck in that habit. If it works for them, it works. But that was one thing it was, learning new habits, right? Like I got into the business. I think I did paper files for like the first maybe 60 days or so. And then I realized I was like, why am I like putting all this paper together to like just rescan it and just what's going on here? And I just got used to it. And then that's when I like found the EXP model. And I was like, man, don't need an office. I don't need paper. I got a scanner if I need to scan something. The only paper we ever print is like a buyer consult paper dialogue, client info sheet. And then we're just scanning that anyways.
Yeah.
But that's been really helpful to be able to just go do business. Cause we're constantly in a state of like, looking for opportunity. And not that we're like a Pop-Tart and like jumping on stuff that we shouldn't be jumping on, but we got to be able to go when we say go. And being paperless and everything digital in the cloud is just really enabling. It just really allows you to function at a high level. And I've really appreciated that. And I start to appreciate it more when I start looking around and other people aren't doing it. I'm like, wow, it's like you're making it so much more difficult than it really needs to be. I understand that's the way you like to do it, but it's a lot more difficult than it needs to be.
Yeah, man. It's unbelievably more difficult. And it's like in this day and age when I can scan documents from my phone, it's crazy to me that you got people running all over town and then they got to have their assistant scan something in. It's like, good Lord, like we're wasting days of time on that stuff that should have happened like snap of the finger, I can't wait until closings catch up too. We're going to be probably doing digital closings here with this virus going on and everything. I'm sure it's causing the whole world to go this way anyway now.
Yeah.
I think if anything positive comes out of this virus, I think that's going to be one of the positives is that people are going to be a lot more knowledgeable around technology.
Absolutely. I mean, think of how like we've already gotten used to not shaking hands and working from home, and it's just going to be one of those things like, man, this is not too shabby. Like this is something that I could see myself doing and being very I would venture to say that some of the fortunate people during this time are going to see more money in their pockets because they're not traveling to work. The people that are continuously getting paid, or that's the people that aren't. The people that are on like a salary position or whatever, they're going to see that they're keeping more of their money, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a game changer for people.
Well, you got less fuel, less wear and tear on your vehicle.
Less wear and tear.
You know, like the whole deal. I mean, it's unbelievable. Maybe you're streaming a little bit more internet. Maybe that's cutting into it a little bit, or you bumped up your internet package. But I mean, that's just part of the working from home experience is you can have the Cadillac of internet if you're using it for your business, It's like you want it. So yeah, man, I think that was an awesome breakdown of some of our systems and tools, dude. Thanks for talking shop with me today. And dude, I'm just stoked to keep doing these, man. I'm proud of us. 2 weeks in a row.
I know. Got it on the calendar. Immovable object.
Immovable object on the calendar, baby.
If anybody out there wants a copy of the daily activity record or the ideal weekly schedule, happy to email those or whatever.
Yeah, in YouTube, I'll put it in the comments section. I'll put a link to it in the comments section. So if anybody's interested in downloading those 2 things, we'll have links to them.
Sweet.
Cool.
Cool, man.
Later, man.
All right, we'll see you.